It is Football Friday here on Three Man Front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. Welcome into the Friday edition of this program. A lot of football. Coach Wimp Sanderson will join us at the bottom of the hour. Next hour, Mike Rodak covers Alabama from Bama 247. We'll have our Bet It or Forget It segment as customary in the 12 noon hour. Kyle Parmalee is going to be with us a little bit earlier than he typically is as the high school football season now moves into region play. Some really big and entertaining games coming up on the high school scene. So we got so much to get into as all my cohorts here gets their headsets plugged in and we get ready to go for the day. We start with the NFL. What a game last night, Conrad. It was a late night for those that was hoping that the over would hit like you, but it did not.
Yeah, rough when you get 41 points in the first half and then you get a grand total of 3 points in the second half. I blame the Lightning.
Yeah, it's the weather delay.
It was. The defenses got to catch their breath, and they certainly showed that in the second half. But I think, great win for the Eagles and their title defense, but pretty crazy that the first game of the season featuring the Cowboys and the Super Bowl champions, and the big topic of conversation is what happened 5 seconds after the game kicked off. Yeah,
it was pretty amazing that that's what took place immediately into the game. But it was a very good game. And so from the NFL game perspective, you got to feel really good about the fact that, man, this was a competitive game. It was fun.
If you're a Cowboys fan, you probably feel a little better, honestly.
There's no question. If CeeDee Lamb would actually hold on to the ball like Ryan Williams, then maybe the Cowboys would have won last night. But
is he a T-Rex guy or a Stegosaurus guy?
I'm not sure what he brought into the stadium with him last night. Not really sure. But as Conrad mentioned, former Georgia Bulldog Jaylen Carter, he was ejected as the game started for spitting on Dak Prescott. Bulldog on Bulldog crime right there. 2 SEC guys,
yeah.
2 Bulldogs, one from Starkville, one from Athens, going at each other.
Just means more saliva.
I guess so. Spatting his DNA towards Dak Prescott. That's what it was.
I know. Just anytime I hear DNA.
You think of Monica Lewinsky?
Is bodily fluid better? Do you prefer that to DNA?
Yeah, which do you prefer?
I don't think either one of them's good. It's kind of like the whole saying moisture or moist.
Oh, moist. Yeah, damp.
You don't like the word moist?
No, it's not me.
Oh.
There's some people that have a problem with it. They get creeped out when you say the word moist. I just feel like it's in that same group.
Well, we'll get to the incident that took place before the first offensive play of the football game that took place. But Philadelphia had a 21-20 lead at the half, as you mentioned, Conrad, 41 points in the first half. That was the Eagles' first game allowing 2+ rushing touchdowns between the tackles since 2021. And the main reason why is because Jaylen Carter's not there, right? So
that helps.
Kind of opened up things a little bit. Jalen Hurts, first Super Bowl MVP to score 2 touchdowns in the first half in the season opener. That was pretty incredible. But that 65-minute weather delay, that kind of slowed everything down.
Oh,
and it killed the over. But I had the Cowboys in the 8.5, so I was perfectly happy with what was going on. But Jalen Hurts, 19 of 23, 2 rushing touchdowns. Barkley, 18 carries, 60 yards, a touchdown. And the Eagles get a hard-fought win against a Cowboys team that I think a lot of people thought they would look dead last night, but I thought they looked more than competent.
I did get a good chuckle because we talked about, and you brought up a great stat on the show yesterday when we were talking about Michael Parsons, and at the end you had Chris Collinsworth essentially saying, man, how much different could this game have been if Michael Parsons was there? And I'm sitting there going, well, according to Pat, he only had 2 tackles last year against the Eagles, so he really didn't matter, Chris. Thanks.
And the Cowboys got a sack anyway, right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Break out those stats. That's right.
That's right.
I was actually at an event last night and had 2 Cowboys fans that were standing next to me, and they were having to keep up with her on their phone. I felt like I was standing next to Florida State fans prior to last weekend's game in Tallahassee, because before the game, their whole mindset was, let's just keep it close and play hard for 4 quarters.
Yeah, I was at an establishment last night, and I guess I didn't realize that maybe that's where all the Cowboys fans go on game day and stuff. It was rowdy from the jump.
Did you go to the one by UAB?
Yes.
Okay.
I did, yes.
NFL culture's pretty cool to see. You'll if you go to the Fennec and you check it out, a lot of the different fan groups, we got more of those here in Birmingham than you would think.
Yeah, since we don't have a team.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
We have the Stallions.
We know you're out there. Yeah, we have the Stallions.
We have the Stallions. All right, so post-game last night, that was the big story. What in the heck happened? Here is former Georgia defensive lineman Jaylen Carter explaining to the scrum of media what took place last night.
It was a mistake that happened on my side, and it just won't happen again. I feel bad for just my teammates and fans out there. I'm doing it for them. I'm doing it for my family also. But fans, they show the most love. You heard them out there today.
There's some footage later that shows that Dak may have done something first. Do you feel like he precipitated it?
I don't try to do nothing out of the ordinary. Anything that I feel like I have done something back is provoked. But, if it's something out there, y'all see it, we'll go back.
Jaylen, when it happened, were you like in a fit of rage, or what was your emotion?
I was calm. I went off the field calmly. I was not bad. That's pretty hard. I couldn't really do nothing else. The rough decision was the rough decision.
You said you weren't provoked. Did Dak say anything, or was there anything that just made you walk over there?
I don't know. When things started to come out and you start seeing things, you go off that. But I don't got nothing to say about it.
All right, you said he was calm, and then you spit at another human being.
No, that's well, and there might be a portion of people out there. Well, it's football. It's all part of. No, you spit on another person. No, that's lower than whale dung. He should be suspended, no doubt. That's sorry.
I think that will happen.
And I would be really troubled if I'm leadership, and they probably already know he's an outstanding player, but when he might have some psychological things going on.
He's had some problems in the past.
Yeah.
He's had some incidents. But if I'm him, why would you not come out and say, yeah, Dak Prescott instigated it? Because now that just makes you look bad when you're not even willing to say, well, I don't know, maybe he did say something, maybe he didn't. So you just did that because you're
No, I was calm.
maybe not a great human being sometimes?
Really
come on,
can't
man.
tell you that anything triggered it. I just decided I would spit on him because we're about to play a game.
Hey, he said he did nothing out of the ordinary. So what does that tell you?
That's his side of things. Let's hear from Dak Prescott, the man that was spat on last night in Philadelphia.
I probably spit 1,000 times throughout the game. Especially game day, maybe even in general, and something I guess I'm not proud of. But in that case, he was trolling, I guess you could say, trying to mess with Tyler Booker. I was just looking at him. I was right here by the two linemen, and guess I needed to spit, and I wasn't going to spit on my lineman, and I just spit ahead. But he goes, "You trying to spit on me?" And at that point, I felt like he was insulting me. Like, I wouldn't spit on somebody. I'm damn sure not trying to spit on you. Like, we're about to play a game. I'm wondering why you're trying to mess with the rookie. And so when I stepped through, I actually say the words like, "Well, what would I need to spit on you for?" And he just spit on me in that moment, and it was more of a surprise than anything. I was like, hell yeah, we get 15 yards to start the game off. Didn't realize he was getting ejected. Unfortunate that he did. Hell of a player.
He was picking on your former offensive lineman, Conrad.
That's
he
my
was
boy,
picking
Dak.
on Booker. He's picking on him.
Can't have that.
No, you got to take up for the rook.
Do you think maybe Jaylen Carter was saying some stuff like doing the tomahawk chop or something like that towards Booker?
I'll be honest, if I was him, I would have been doing that. Absolutely. Mental warfare. Mental warfare. Yeah. Plus, it's a guy that, I guess he was on the team that beat Alabama for the national championship, but, I'm sure that hatred persists after college.
So you got two sides of the story, as we always do. You've got one where Philadelphia media are saying, well, Dak spit towards Jaylen Carter. He started it, and then Jaylen Carter was just retaliating. I don't think the NFL is going to see it that way.
No.
Because Dak Prescott wasn't ejected from the game, but Jaylen Carter was. So the NFL is going to review last night's spitting incident, additional penalties, fines, suspensions could be coming. Worth noting that technically speaking, since he was ejected before the game really started, that serves as a one-game suspension already. So from a technical players union standpoint. So if they come back and say, we're going to give you an additional game, then that technically would go in the books as a 2-game suspension. But he would only sit out one more game. So we'll see what happens. Maybe think back in 1996 when Toronto Blue Jay Roberto Alomar spit on home plate umpire John Hirschbeck after a heated argument took place after a third strike. You remember that?
Yeah, and then what we found out about Roberto Alomar.
That was even more concerning.
If I'm Hirschbeck, I'm going to
getting tested for
a bunch of stuff.
Alomar initially claimed that Hirschbeck used a racial slur, but Alomar later apologized to the umpire. But that was a big deal. If you never remember seeing the YouTube, do a search on it and watch it. But yeah, Roberto Alomar got in a world of trouble for spitting on the home plate umpire. So we'll see what happens to Jaylen Carter. It's a shame because it was a great game. And you just hated that happened at the very beginning of the game. And you could tell both of these teams just do not like each other. I mean, then you had that scrum and you had, 2 15-yard penalties against the Cowboys?
Yeah, you had a couple from the Eagles. You had a taunting penalty. George Pickens looked like he was about to grab somebody's leg and twist it at one point, and he ultimately didn't. It's funny because, my friend who doesn't care about sports, he was with us last night. He's like, man, why are they so chippy with each other? It's like, well, they're rivals. They don't like each other. Oh, really? They don't like each other? No, they do. They do not like each other. No.
Did he ask you if it was customary if the players exchanged spit before the game?
No, he knew that wasn't right.
Teach me about this football you watch so much.
No, he did get a guy. Said, oh, yeah, that was the Stallions kicker a couple years ago. So, oh, yeah, okay. That was about it for him.
He looked good. He looked good last night.
Brandon Aubrey's incredible.
Jaylen Carter, you don't get thrown out. You probably cover the 8.5.
Probably do.
You're glad they didn't.
Yeah, glad he was ejected because I won. All right, so let's hear from Ryan Clark, who is never short of an opinion on ESPN's Get Up this morning. This is what the former NFLer had to say about the incident last night in Philadelphia.
But when Jaylen Carter, who is one of the best players in the entire NFL, shows that lack of respect for the game, shows that lack of ability to make good decisions early on in the game, that is such a selfish play. Not only is it freaking disgusting, right? Not only do you show what a low-level human you are in that moment, but you let the entire team down. Everything that the Philadelphia Eagles do up front centers around Jaylen Carter. When we're looking at the runs of Javonte Williams, when you see Miles Sanders go for 49, those are plays where you immediately think to yourself, where is Jaylen Carter? And you know where he was? He was at the casino down the street, probably watching the game because Big Dom had to walk him into the locker room. Yeah. You cannot do that. And if you're Nick Sirianni, you have to make an example out of him. That's one of those times that you walk in the meeting and you put the film on, and you know how you do it. Bill Belichick would do this. He'd put the film on, then he'd cut it off, and he'd only show Jaylen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott, and you got to cuss him out. You got to tell him how big of a mistake this is. You got to tell him how he let the entire team down. And if you continue to do this, you'll never be the player you're supposed to be, and certainly not the man.
Low-level human stuff. That's what Ryan Clark just said on Jaylen Carter.
It's the first thing I've agreed with Ryan Clark on in a while.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He hadn't put a whole lot of stuff out there that I agree with, but yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's a much better take than his take yesterday that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning aren't generational quarterbacks, but that's another thing. So I'm glad to see that he rebounded today. But that's why with the suspension, kind of what he said at the beginning.
Could you what did he say again?
Him and Dan Orlovsky were going at it on ESPN. He said Tom Brady and Peyton Manning weren't.
Okay, I missed the first part.
Talents.
I heard Tom Brady. I didn't know the other Hall of Famer that you were talking about.
Yeah, only two of like the 3 or 4 greatest quarterbacks of all time. But anyways,
okay.
But if you're the NFL, right, this was your season opening game on Thursday night with your premier brand in the Cowboys. You're defending Super Bowl champions, and that's what happens the first play of the game. That's why I think they might be more – you might get that 2-game suspension. Get that additional game thrown because it's just a bad look for the brand of the NFL to start the season.
Is it a bad omen for the Eagles?
I don't think so. They won.
Obviously, yeah.
Well,
I guess not.
That game.
Karma?
Nah, they're pretty good. I think they'll be fine.
Well, and you heard Collinsworth talk about last night, the NFL has made it a priority this year in regards to taunting. You saw, like, soon after that.
I think it was Nolan Smith that did that.
Yeah, he got flagged immediately for a taunting penalty. So I think the NFL is going to really put an emphasis on that a lot more this year. I would be shocked if he doesn't get one, if not maybe multiple games for doing that. You just can't do that. That's.
Do we get an NFL like a Shield campaign where they're running promos, quit the spit, hashtag?
I will say, I told this to Pat earlier, and besides the spitting, unacceptable. Don't ever want to see that on a football field or anywhere. There's no room for that. But watching the chippiness of that game last night, you want to know what I was sitting there thinking to myself?
Why can't we do that?
Why does Alabama not have a single guy with that attitude on their team right now? Because I get it, the penalties are frustrating and they're annoying, but at least it shows that you give a crap and you're pissed off at the dude that's lined up across from you.
So, in other words, you want another Malachi Moore kicking the football? Is that what you want?
I would have taken that last weekend because it would have shown that, hey, this loss means something to you. Instead, you got defensive linemen laughing as the clock runs out. On the
And I don't, well, if you did have a player that wanted to make a statement before a game, let's just say the Georgia game, you don't have enough depth on your defensive line.
No.
You can afford one of those.
No, don't think Tim Keenan needs to go out there and do something like that. No.
Don't need that statement from you or anybody in that group.
Or no one from special teams.
Yeah.
No kickers.
Well, I was going to say Connor Talty could do it.
Send Talty out there.
That's
Talty, big loogie.
Well, the Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com.
We're off and running on this Football Friday. Wimp Sanderson will join us at the bottom of the hour. Mike Rodak at the top of next hour. So much to get into on this Football Friday on Jox. Coach Wimp Sanderson is going to join us at the bottom of this Football Friday, bottom of the hour. A couple of notes I heard yesterday afternoon from Alabama folks that I trust. Ryan Williams is still questionable, going through the concussion protocol from Saturday's loss in Tallahassee. Also, Alabama is hoping, and I stress the word hoping, that if the game can dictate this, that Keelan Russell will get significant playing time. So we'll see if the game predicates that they're given that opportunity.
Well, you've got the opportunity to picks like so many of our Jox listeners during the football season. Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. You can join millions like myself and sign up today. All you got to do is download the app, use code WJOX to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code WJOX. You're going to get $50 in lineups instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. You don't have to win to qualify for the bonus. We're going to go college football. We got some games tonight. It's not the most interesting or sexy slate, but it's pretty good. Remember Miller Moss?
Oh, yeah, at old Louisville now.
Yeah, he's at Louisville. They're taking on the Dukes of James Madison later on today. More or less on his player projection for passing touchdowns is 1.5. So does he have more than 1.5 passing touchdowns or less versus the Dukes?
I still have faith in Miller Moss. I'm going to go more.
Unfortunate composite when he was at USC.
Yeah,
but yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go more on that one. Malik Washington, in case you were wondering, he is the quarterback for the Maryland Terrapins. They're going to take on NIU. More or less, 1.5 passing touchdowns, Malik Washington.
Oh, that's their freshman that oh, yeah, he looked really good last week, actually. I'll go more on that one.
We're going to go more on both. We're going to ride with Conrad's gut. You can win, and if both of those player projections hit, we're going to win as well. Prize Picks, download the WJOX app. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
So the Alabama-Louisiana Monroe point spread from the Vegas perspective opened up at 37.5. This morning, at one time, it got down to 34.5. It is currently at 35. Very interesting that it's gone that direction. Sounds like some folks are thinking that the 5 touchdown plus point spread is a little bit too much for this current Alabama team taking on Bryant Vincent's Warhawks.
These games with these big spreads, it's just really, it's tough because you don't know what are the coaches now in week 2. What are you really wanting to work on? You know that as far as the Jimmies and Joes, you're superior in talent, far superior in talent. So given what we saw last week, are we going to see the starters on the field for 4 quarters to make sure that they play hard and give effort for 4 quarters? Like, we want to see more tape. You giving more guys like your depth pieces? I'm sure it'll be a combination of both, but we don't know for certain. And I don't know, what is the flow of the game going to look like?
Yeah, in years past, you would easily say, okay, Alabama lost or they struggled the week before, and now they're playing a lesser competition. You would bet the house on them covering that game, right? Because you knew they were going to be fired up and motivated to go out there and show everyone that it was a fluke the week before. I would love to have that same attitude because there's like half of my heart and my gut that feels that way. Then the other half that's like, man, that eye test from last week is a hard thing to forget. 30, it's a lot.
So everything's been accentuated probably a little bit more than it has been in the past when it comes to Alabama. We've seen this last year with Kalen DeBoer, what he was wearing. Obviously, everything that went wrong in Tallahassee. Jury's still out whether Florida State at the end of the year is going to be a very good opponent or that was just Alabama's just a sorry football team. A lot will be determined as the season goes on. But one thing is for sure, if you would like to take your family down to the Alabama-Louisiana Monroe game, Molly, it appears that you could get in there on pennies on a dollar.
Yeah, now's the time. Tickets are as cheap as $7.
Wait.
That's interesting.
Hold on a second.
I looked earlier in the week, and I saw the lowest was $12.
It's down to $7.
They've dropped to $7.
You can get into an Alabama football game for $7.
Well, $7.16, Pat. So $7.16.
So you're probably going to pay more in the ticket fees
than
you are the actual
it's
ticket.
With like
fees,
$15.
it's $70.16.
Here, I'll do this. I'm going to buy
2
tickets.
All right. See what they're going to charge you.
It's on Ticketmaster.
So it should be
$14.32.
That should be for 2 tickets, $7.16.
$14.32, yeah.
That's amazing.
I assume these are the nosebleeds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But even like the lower bowl.
No, it's like Tide Pride, like right there.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Lower tier.
You get your own usher, your own server.
You want a suite? $8.
$8.
No, I mean, I've seen
lower bowl's like 45. These are 63. Those are 81.
The last time I sat in the upper bowl.
What's the total?
Oh, I don't remember my Ticketmaster password.
Oh, try this.
But let me try again.
No, I'll try.
The last time I
got
sat in
one.
the Upper Bowl in Bryant-Denny, it was $100
for Upper Deck.
It was an Arkansas game 2 years ago. That was the last
That
time.
was that the homecoming game?
Yeah, it was it was a sketchy game. Yeah.
That's the game I went to as well.
Yeah.
And me and my friend sat lower bowl, like 5 rows up, and I got my tickets. We got our tickets for like $40 a piece.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you let one friend buy 10 tickets together, and you get stuck with that.
Okay, I've found 2 tickets. They're $10 each, including all fees. Now, your seat is basically at Bryant Hall, but with a good pair of knocks, you'd be able to see.
You get to sit up there with the pledges.
So how much?
That
How
might
much
be
more
more
fees?
entertaining.
Is that where they sit?
Yeah, up in the upper
Way
bowl.
way up
in
there?
the upper bowl. Yeah.
Fees are $232.
$2.32.
Yes.
So you can get a ticket to this game with fees and everything for under $10.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Well, like Pat said, load up the car tomorrow, head down to Tuscaloosa.
I mean, if you're looking for an opportunity to take your family down and enjoy Alabama football,
How about this?
might be
It
the best
advertised them
case.
as $10 a piece and said, including all fees. If I went and I bought right now with Apple Pay, the total for the 2 tickets, $18.82.
That is, I am dumbfounded.
I mean, you can barely get a fast food meal for less money than that.
You go to McDonald's and buy a few hamburgers and fries and a drink, and it's going to cost you $11-12.
Yeah.
If I'm DeBoer, I use this as part of my pregame motivation. You guys seen secondary ticket market?
Mm-hmm. You got any aunts and uncles who want to come to the game? That's great. We got plenty of tickets for y'all because y'all stunk it up so bad last week that half the stadium's going to be empty. So, yeah, here's your tickets. Bring your family down here. Hey, it might be the best Alabama looks all year tomorrow, so it might be worth the $8.
Yeah, very true.
Good opportunity, though.
Before guys become completely demoralized and check out. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes.
So the last 2 times Alabama has played Louisiana Monroe, they've beaten them collectively 97-7.
Yeah, I looked it up the other day. They're 3-1 all time against. Obviously, they lost in 2007. We all remember that. Average margin of victory 41 points for Alabama in their history against ULM.
In the last 31 years, Louisiana Monroe has a grand total of 6 wins against Power 4 opponents. And one of those was Alabama.
I was about to say, well, lightning strikes twice sometimes.
Well,
Right?
the good news for Alabama and Kane Womack in that run defense is you don't have Ahmad Hardy to face, the freshman who lit it on fire for Louisiana Monroe and then immediately was snatched out of the portal by Missouri. He could have gone to Oregon and made plus $1 million, but it was too far from home, so split the difference and go into Missouri.
I was about to say, they'll get to see him in a month or so anyways.
But it's been
Alabama
11
will.
years since ULM has beaten a Power 4 opponent. 11 years.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to.
He'll
years,
have
not
them
8
ready
years.
to play. There's no doubt. Again,
Better.
I'm
Alabama's
just giving you
superior.
some stats so that you'll be able to tweet that out as soon as the game starts going.
As soon as it goes, thank you, Pat.
Goes sideways.
Thank you. I
They will
appreciate
play
that.
hard for 4 quarters.
Are we sure about that?
I'm not talking about Alabama. I'm talking about Louisiana Monroe.
I'm very confident.
I know that staff a lot better than I do the one in Tuscaloosa.
I will just say this. I would be floored if you didn't see 110% effort from Alabama. Because if you don't see that tomorrow, then we're seriously talking about are we going 6-6 type thing.
All right, let me give you one other fun stat. Just have in your back of your head.
Yeah.
If you get late in the fourth quarter,
Mhm.
just remember that. The last time the Warhawks defeated a ranked opponent, I'm not talking about a Power 4 opponent,
A top 25 team.
a top Arkansas
Mm-hmm.
in overtime in Little Rock back in 2012.
See, this is why Alabama lost last week, because they were number 8, and they didn't want to stay there because then they were worried about rather lost last week than this week. That's what that was, right?
All right, Wimp Sanderson's going to join us when we come back. He will have his weekly blue plate, all that straight ahead on this Friday edition of 3-Man Front. You know, when you hear old Blue Eyes on this radio station and this radio show, you know what's coming up. Every single Friday at 10:30, we're joined by Coach Wimp Sanderson, brought to you by Craneworks.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah, the big dog's got it.
Wimp Sanderson on Three Man Front is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it. The big dog's got it. And now, Wimp Sanderson.
Dang right, he does it his own way. He's 2-0 in his Blue Plates. Coach, congratulations. You're hot as fire.
All right, Coach.
Woo!
Well, I think what needs to happen is y'all need to brag on it before I get on. I listened to y'all's deal prior to me getting on. I thought maybe I was going to get a little bit more praise.
We just yelled, Coach. We're yelling. We're happy for you. You're 2-0.
Thank you. Congratulations to me. Okay. I'll bounce around here like I always do. Y'all say, Wimp, it's time to go, but about 2 minutes. But anyway.
No. Oh, why do you want to start so negative?
I didn't come in on a turnip truck. All right. If you heard it, if.
Okay.
If you get ready for your team as a coach to play technically and mentally. Technically, the people on this show, only about 5% know what you did wrong technically. They don't know anything about pass defense. They don't know anything about rushing the pass. They don't know anything about that. They just watch the game. And so when you do that and you feel like that you're not comfortable with them, then the next step is to try to get this thing straightened out with a pretty harsh manner at halftime. That's what I tried to do, and I had some kind of games. And then number 3, when you get through the next practice, and mine sometimes were at night after we got back from a game against rules now, you didn't talk. You showed. You worked to the point that they understood. You didn't have to talk. And so if that happened, and I won't say it did or didn't, I think Williams, a kid, I don't know what kind of game he had. I think if Ty could have gotten the football to him, he would have. He certainly doesn't want to throw interceptions. So Ohio State did an excellent job against Texas, and I thought Florida State did an excellent job against Alabama. So there we are. Those two things there. Team play. I don't know whether you're satisfied with how hard they play. I think it was question mark. I don't really get on here and bust coaches or do anything like that, because I think the coaches are working hard and trying to get the thing the right way. If things are not good, then you as the head coach bust your assistants. And then you turn around and try to get your assistants to be darn sure that you get leadership out of your players, which is critical. Your players can lead your team and make your team better. You guys keep up a little basketball. I had Derek Fisher on my basketball team. And when things weren't going good for my team, I said, Derek, get them over there in the corner and get them straight. We'll be here all night. Get them playing at halftime. Get them playing. If we're not, we're going to be here. We'll be running after the game. So those kinds of things happen. I don't know what questions you have before we get to Blue Plate.
Yeah.
Blue Plate, but I've talked too much.
No, you're good, Coach. I want to ask you these are just things that have been thrown out. You've heard the same things after that loss.
Yeah.
This Alabama team is soft. They lacked effort. Just going back from your teams, did you ever have an issue? And if a team was quote unquote soft, is that something you pick up on during practice in the off season? Could this have come as a surprise to Kalen Ward and his staff?
I just think that you have a team occasionally that for whatever reason, from a mental standpoint, you're not ready to play. You're 2-10 last year. And they my job. Getting beat to them was not good for them. So I think it's a mental, as I said, you're much better technically catching the ball, getting yourself open from good pass defenses Williams is going to see, everybody's going to double cover him, and Ty ain't going to throw it in double coverage. That's the reason he's starting. So you got to get your fanny open if you can. If you can't, then they have to go throw it to somebody else. So I think it's, are you mentally ready to play? And I am not on this radio show to tell you where they were or weren't. They didn't probably play as well as they probably thought they should have. But I'm not. They've lost a defensive guy and an offensive guy, and they've had some injuries, and that hurts them some. And you're playing a team that's 2-10. Can you get ready to play a team that was 2-10 last year? Probably not as much. Had they been 10-2, you would have thought a little bit more about them because that's just the way life is. If you want to do something really important, you do it much better. If you want to try to kiss your girlfriend, you all work very hard to do that, or you wife or whatever. You work it. Whatever you try to do, you got to work at it to do it. And I think that's the underlying substance there. So I don't know what else I can say to you. Yeah, your thoughts. I listened to both of y'all about that, and to other radio shows and to my radio show, and it's it's something that you do have to correct. I agree. Conrad said something about it at the beginning of the show. You do have to correct it. You got to get it. You got to get it corrected. What would probably if this did happen, then my twos in that game would be ones, and my ones in the defensive and offensive line would be twos, and I would get their attention that way. Hollering and screaming at them, no, I did a little bit of that, but too much of it. Knowing that you care about them as people, but you're going to work their fannies off is very important. Very important to get them back the way you want them. You care about them, but you also don't like the way they played. If you feel that way with your staff, and I'm not talking for this staff.
Coach, I'm not asking for names, but just
anything else.
Well, I'm just going to ask you, all your years of coaching.
You there?
Yes.
Must have lost him.
Do you have his coach? Okay. Conrad, see if he's still there. Coach is 2-0 in his Blandrum.
He was 2-0. And he was back. He was kind of back and forth, but he decided to pull the trigger. It was a Tennessee and Syracuse, right?
Yeah. So we're trying to
a lot of orange in that game.
I tell you what, hey Conrad, let's do this. Let's go ahead and he's undefeated, Landrum. If you did not know that, he's 2-0 on his blue plates.
Pat, he started out 2-0. I don't know anybody else who has started the season hotter than one Wimp Sanderson.
Yeah, he's undefeated. So we'll get to Coach Wimp Sanderson next. Brought to you by Craneworks. 10:45 back here on Jox, brought to you by Crane Works. Wimp Sanderson joins us each and every Friday. We're back with Coach Sanderson. Coach, I was going to ask you, in all your years of coaching your basketball teams, did you ever get into a season and you kind of look around and you ask your assistant coaches, like, guys, I just can't teach, want to? And have you ever had a team like that? Because a lot of people this week on this radio show, they've called in and said that, not so much the effort, but they're just not really sure if those football players for Alabama, they want to go out there and win.
Well, to answer your question, I've had teams where there's a guy on my team that did that. I don't think I've ever had a team. I don't think I did. Maybe I haven't, can't remember it, but I don't think I ever had a team where the whole team didn't want to. There are certain games that you go into that they're not ready to play. And when they're not ready to play, you sense it after in basketball, after the first 2 or 3 minutes, they're not ready to play. And so I substituted right then, right quickly, if I felt like a guy wasn't ready to play. And I got his attention, or I had the assistant coach get his attention. And as I said, I know I was cut off. I don't know what happened, but I paid my phone bill. But
Landrum said you probably didn't. He said that's probably the problem.
Didn't. I didn't have the money after. Well, I won the Tennessee game, so I paid it. So anyway, the one game, the one player, maybe sometimes, occasionally two, or somebody that just absolutely weren't ready to play, is a scare. I wanted my basketball teams to be ready to play. We had a better chance to win if they were. And I'm not saying I'm not teaching Alabama, saying Alabama wasn't ready to play. I thought there were a couple of times that I felt like that they weren't as good, and I think you got to get it straight, turn the page on it, and go to work. This won't be a real easy game. I know when you look at the stats of the other team, and lost to Coach Saban once. Will they be ready to play? You're darn right. Will Alabama be ready to play? They need to be, because this is a game where everybody says, I don't know what's going to happen with Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin ain't here yet. So I think that's the most important thing. And I would go into our staff meetings after we had our talk about the game plan. Do you feel like we're ready to play? Or I would ask my team captain or two, are we ready to play? And they would tell me. I think that's the important thing that you try to do. If you're ready to play, and first thing you do, folks, is one thing that you do is that you try to get better players than your opponent. And the B part of that is you got to get those guys that are better than your opponent to play to their capabilities, to play better than their opponents do. So that's critical. I do think too, and I'm not being negative on this. You can't have a game after game after game where you don't get back like you should be. And of course now I'm a big recruiting, because it can hurt your recruiting as well as your game, as well as your loss, or as your 10-9 win or something. It's important because if I'm going in against somebody that I feel like is not playing hard, and I'm going in as a coach from another school, I'm going to point that out in a very nice way. I'm not going to cut them up, but I had the ability to sort of cut them up without going overboard with it. Oh, am I still on?
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense?
We still got you.
Okay, so that to me that makes sense, and I know I've got to go because of the deal. So on the blue plate, I did Tennessee last week. I thought it was a good pick, and y'all seem to think it was too.
You won. You're 2-0.
You're
undefeated.
So smart and
so anyway,
and so funny.
I looked at several. I looked at, and I told you last week, I looked at Iowa State and North Dakota or somebody, and you should have taken that as a side pick. But anyway, I looked at UAB and Navy. I don't like 21, although UAB can't guard me. Iowa State, that's not bad. That's not real bad there. Iowa State's really good. Iowa doesn't score well. I forget what it is, 3.5 or something like that. And I peeked a little bit at South Florida and Florida's 18. I'm not a big quarterback fan. Leeway as big as everybody else is in Florida for whatever reason. That don't mean one thing. I'm just not. So this team got beaten in overtime last year against the other team. They've got a mad on. I think they were good in the first game that I saw, so I selected Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has a very, very two more varies good home field advantage. They play hard. They had a bad experience last year losing, I think it may have been in overtime, I'm not sure, to a good Vanderbilt team. I had it picked at 2. My son, who wants to argue with me all the time, says it's 2.5. So I don't know what it is, but I picked Virginia Tech to win the game. I think they will win the game, and I think it's a good blue play. I could be dead wrong. I would like to get you two guys, and don't try to brown nose me. You tell me the truth. You like it or dislike it? I have a feeling you don't like it.
Well, currently, Coach, it's 2. Virginia Tech is a 2-point favorite at home.
Okay.
I don't like it, Coach. I'm just being honest.
I want you to tell me. Yeah.
And the reason why is because, I mean, Virginia Tech is just, man, it's been a long time since they have. I think it's been they haven't, and I think it's like only 4 of the last 9 seasons has been above 500.
I think in the games where they're supposed to lose, they're good. I followed them for a long time.
Yeah,
and they have a really home field advantage, and I don't think that their game against South Carolina was that bad.
I know it was 10-8 going into the fourth quarter.
Past 6 seasons, they've had one winning season.
At all. Now, one thing you can't do when you gamble, and I don't gamble, but one thing compare that. Be careful. Yeah, I got upset last year when they got beat. And that I just think that Virginia Tech will really be ready to play. I think they're coached well. I think the home field advantage is really in their favor. I could be dead wrong, and this time next week I'll be eating crow. So anyway, that's who I picked. Landon, what'd you think? You didn't like it either, did you?
I'm not crazy about it. No.
Good.
I wish there was more points. If it was Virginia Tech getting like 6 or 7 at home, I'd really like it, but not.
Well, we all both brag on me a lot next week when I win.
Yes, we will. We will.
Hey, I just
own it.
I want to leave you with this, Coach. Vanderbilt is 5-0 in its last 5 away games.
Oh my hell, it's St. Miles.
Goodness.
Just that's another reason why I didn't like the pick.
Coach,
Sorry,
you want to redo?
Yeah.
You want to redo?
No, I ain't redoing it. I'm gonna win it.
It's 2-0, Landrum.
Why no?
Why would you not roll with the hot
He's
hand?
off to the best start of anybody ever on this show to start a season.
No doubt.
Well, that's right. 2-0. Okay. All right. Craneworks. I get to come for Craneworks. Get on craneworks.com. Craneworks will build it up. I'll tear it down for you.
Yep.
And they'll do a good job with rental work, rental things from them, and they'll have an operator come over there and help you. You can't beat that. Not only will they bring the equipment, they'll bring the operator over there to help you if you have a problem operating there. Go to just today.
Thanks,
Okay.
Anderson, presented by Craneworks on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham's your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Did you know he's 2-0?
Heck yeah, I know he's 2-0.
He's undefeated.
Yep.
He's perfect.
It might as well be 20-0.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to lose this year.
That would be incredible. That would be awesome. I'm rooting for him.
I am too.
I hope
we're wrong.
Hope it happens.
Sorry, Diego.
Vanderbilt is also on a 9-4 against the spread run since Pavia took over as starting quarterback.
You think he travels with his diamond stud earrings?
Spread. That's against the spread.
You think he travels with his diamond stud earrings, or he's worried about getting taken out of his hotel room? Those things got to be at least $50K a piece.
Yeah. Easy.
A lot of ice. A lot of drip. See, Conrad? Yeah.
You picked up some lingo around the UAB locker room?
I waited for your reaction. I didn't get that from UAB. MTV. Yo, MTV Raps.
You said one winning season for
Marathon.
Virginia Tech and how many?
The last 6. It was actually Brent Pry that did it. They were 7-6 in 2023. Prior to that, their last winning season prior to that was 2019 when they went 8-5. Justin Fuente. Is that a blast from the past?
Winning records in Blacksburg, only 4 of the last 9 seasons. What's going on down in Tuscaloosa? 7 joins us next. It is 11 o'clock. Welcome back in. We will talk to Mike Rodak from Bama 247, get his thoughts on what's going on with the Alabama Crimson Tide as they get ready for the Warhawks from Louisiana Monroe. Meanwhile, the Auburn Tigers, big home favorite, as they will be honoring all the former players that played under Coach Pat Dye Field. That's obviously sponsored by Yellowwood. Also, it's the 25th anniversary of the first flying of the Eagle inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. So it should be a lot of fun down at Jordan-Hare Stadium this weekend.
Well, if you're not going to the game, you're looking for somewhere near Railroad Park. From every seat in the house, the experience is bigger, it's brighter, it's bolder. They got a new restaurant menu. It's certainly worth cheering for with unbelievable wings. They got great burgers, shareables. You want to go steaking with a steak? They have outstanding steaks, house-made sides, everything they do there, they do it right. They're at the Finnick. They got a new 6-day schedule that includes live acoustic acts Wednesday through Friday. So, yes, that does mean today. But you got live bands coming up at 10 o'clock tonight, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays dedicated to sports. So you're going to get college football. You're going to get UAB, Alabama, Auburn, the rest of the slate. And for the big games, they'll turn up the sound there in their state-of-the-art viewing experience dining room. It's unbelievable. They also have a pool room if you're into that as well. Just make a day of it. Go to the Finnick. It's 1630 2nd Avenue South near Railroad Park. NFL Sunday Ticket. If you're a fan of a team, you want a place to get together with your friends, you can do it there at the Finnick. Can't wait to see you there this fall.
Joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline from Bama 247 is here on the program. And Mike, we all know that you have covered this Alabama football team for multiple years, and you've been around some very interesting weeks coming after. How was this week compared to some of the other losses that you've experienced around this football team? Was it about status quo, or did it feel a little bit different this time?
Teams like for that long, like finally Texas contact because like, home last year, Van one kind of got week after as a bowl. The Bills there bring like this is the last. It feels the 100 that off.
Dive into season for Kalen DeBoer to be told that his services are no longer needed.
I think anything short of the playoffs, and you're certainly in that realm of at least having the conversation seriously. There's probably a gray area there where if you go 9-3 and you miss the playoffs like last year, maybe 8-4 to sell. Pretty dire territory. Because I think it's, but if and down on the table, then maybe something will happen. I don't know. You never quite know when the end will come. You don't know when it will turn around either. I mean, it could all come back together and come full circle. And we're talking about this game like the 2015 Ole Miss game. And you have a team that all of a sudden is right back in it. But it just, when you lose this many games, and this is 5 out of the last 9 against FBS opponents, it just, the benefit of the doubt starts to creep away. And it's harder to see that vision of, all right, they're just going to turn it around and become that sort of team that's right back in the mix to be a national championship contender.
Mike, earlier this week, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but based on we carry the press conference each and every week, or for the first time, I guess, in the last year and a half, he not saying he bristled up. It wasn't a Nick Saban-like moment. Rattled or taken back by your question about the practice and the effort. Can you just take us there and put us in the question was asked?
Yeah, I mean, first the two coordinators go before them, and you could tell like they were kind of feeling the pressure, especially I think Kane because of the way the defense played. Like you could tell there was a prickliness there with Kane that probably hasn't been there in the past, and probably understandable in the situation. Then Kalen comes in, and yeah, you can tell like Kalen and from him, and I think he kind of for us open it up. I think the talks about to up to snuff seem to be talking to the defense and essentially said at practice and in the game and earlier, and obviously if he forgot at the end of the subject, I don't know if he necessarily addressed it, that particular topic. I think later on somebody asked about does practice translate to games, and he said yes, he's a firm believer in that. So look, I think people, like everybody has taken a test before. When you're in school, you take a test, you fail the test, the first thing the teacher's going to ask you is, did you prepare hard enough? And if maybe there's some kids who can go in, prepare as well as they possibly can, they go into the test and they have anxiety and they just flop. But I think that's hard to explain 5 losses away now for that to have happened. So I think you do have to point to preparation at some point, and that was really the root of my question.
If Mike Rodak, who covers Alabama, Bama 247, joining us here on Three Man Front, he's a good coach. His track record speaks for itself. I know this is a loaded question and potentially a lot of different answers that you could give, but why, in your opinion, has the success that he has had at previous stops?
It's a higher level of football. I think that's the first part about it. And a lot of coaches have success at lower levels and then move up. I mean, that's why coaches get jobs. They're either successful head coaches before that, Brian Kelly won Natty. That's how you him. Why he was, in terms of FBS experience, it's a pretty thin record in terms of he has 2 years at Fresno State and 2 years at Washington as a head coach. So it's hard to extrapolate that to the SEC when you're hiring him. And I won't say it past tense, but it could still work out. But to this point, it really hasn't. And it's just a higher level of football. It's more competitive. Every single game is going to be harder than it was in the Pac-12. And yes, he beat Dan Lanning, he beat Steve Sarkisian, he had kind of those big wins on his resume, but every single game is different. And it's just that I don't know if that necessarily means anything. And getting a team especially a team of very talented players who have a lot of different people in their ears to play well every single week. And yes, that's something his predecessor did extremely well. I think he just needs to, Kalen DeBoer needs to do that better here, and he still has time to do it.
Mike Rodak from Bama 247 joining us here on Three Man Front, joins us every Friday. So I've asked a couple of people that was in Doak Campbell's stadium and watching the game, and you have a completely different perspective than those of us watching it on our televisions, because you can see all 22 all the time, and you can kind of see what's going on and kind of make your own assessment of what you're seeing. So I'm curious, for watching this unfold on Saturday, was it so much of Alabama not doing what you thought Alabama was going to be capable of. It was such a better team that was more shocking than the way that Alabama was performing?
I think it was probably more about Alabama. Like, I thought FSU was going to be better. I think they were probably much better than what their talent was, better than what their record indicated last year. I think once things snowball and you start to lose a few games, then that's where 2-10 comes from. But that's a better team last year than 2-10. And when you bring in different players, like, so I get, so players that probably, even though Caleb did that for Alabama, up outside of Jeremy, I was not a little good. All these are second round picks. It's same time, Keenan, like you lose Jan Miller. Well, you got a fifth-year senior out of the portal in Dre Washington from Louisiana. He played 3 or 4 snaps. So, and you have a player in Kevin Riley who's barely played to this point, who's your leading rusher. Like, it's not just coaching. It's not just the players. I think it's a roster question. I think it's just an overall everybody question. And I don't know if you can just focus on one little area.
That is Mike Robat. Rodak joins us every Friday here on Three Man Front. Rodak joins us every Friday here on Three Man Front. I want to stay on that theme for just a second about the defensive line, because going into fall camp and leaving Atlanta, as people pointed out that there were 2 areas of concern with leaving Atlanta. As people pointed out that there were 2 areas of concern with this Alabama football team. It was the interior defensive line, and it was also a question that you just brought up about Kelby Collins, is that why didn't Alabama go out and overspend and buy themselves a defensive lineman? Because nowadays you can go like you're going to pick up whatever you need to pick up in whatever area that you feel that you're deficient in. Why didn't Alabama do that? Why did they rely themselves on a true freshman that's been enrolled for 3 months, as you just pointed out? I guess that's the point that a lot of people are asking themselves.
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's hard to kind of parse exactly what the reality is as far as who they could have afforded and where exactly the spending capability is for them. Obviously, AJ McCarron made his remark this week about having less than 20. Like, we've about the most of, is it or was it the it's ability to go out this pay them to have a good class much on to allocate. I would have told you so. The tackle exploit that for their sake.
Follow his those if they. What was the final score you gave on Bama 247's website?
55-7.
55-7. Do we see more Austin Mack or Keelan Russell?
Very good question. Very good question. I did not get the sense that Kalen DeBoer was enamored with the way that Ty Simpson played. I think he was okay with it. And I think Kalen DeBoer is certainly about the quarterback being a playmaker. And I think the most capable playmaker long-term on this roster is Keelan Russell. And it would not be surprising to see him get some time in this game, because when else this season are you really going to have this chance?
That is Mike Rodak. Excellent work as always, Mike. Look forward to catching up with you again next week.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Mike Rodak. Joined us on the Higginbotham hotline. All of our guests join us on that hotline because you deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
He said he didn't say which side. I'm assuming it was Alabama, right?
It was Alabama.
Okay. All right. A lot to take away from what Mike just told us. We'll get to it next.
Wow.